Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Hello, welcome. My name is Živko Kolev, representing ZapFest tonight, and you're here to listen to Juan Tele talk about TouchDevelop, or how to develop apps just with your phone. Without further ado, Juan Tele, take now.
Thank you. So I'm Nicolas Tillman, and I'm here together with Peli Derleux. We are two members of the TouchDevelop team, and we are going to talk about a new way how to write programs on your phones. So what we are all very much aware of in our everyday life is that computers are shrinking. We have seen different input devices, and the way we surf the internet now is totally different from what it used to be. You can just touch on a screen and move things around. Before that, with the invention of the mouse, we could drag around things. And so what I want you to think about is that all of these new input devices, they are not just fun for everyday tasks, but how can we actually use them for programming? Yeah? There are many applications out there, and writing programs is one of them. So devices are getting smaller and smaller. So you might think that in some sense they're getting more limited. But in many ways, the latest generation of devices, smartphones, is more powerful than ever. And one point that really sticks out is that, unlike a PC, you have your phone always with you. That's dramatically different from how you interacted with a PC in the past. You always have the phone with you. And also no secret is that if you look at sales numbers, smartphones are taking over. PCs are kind of not growing so fast anymore. So if you just look at the numbers here, that is 1 billion units sold. In a few years, literally every person on Earth will have a phone. So you always have it with you, and everyone on Earth, to some extent, will have a smartphone, which is a general purpose computing device. This is a full-blown computer. And in another aspect, it's a much more fun computer than the PC ever was, because it has many more sensors. The PC had what? A screen, a keyboard, and a mouse. And what does the smartphone come with? Touchscreen, of course, cameras, not just front, but also back. It's always connected to the cloud. It can talk to other devices with Bluetooth. It has GPS. It knows how fast you're going, how much you're accelerating. Much more sensors packed than ever before. But as great as this computing device is, if you think about the state of the art of creating software for smartphones, there's a big disconnect. So you create smartphone software by using a PC, using a traditional setup with languages that were invented before mobile devices even existed. You're supposed to write text with a keyboard. You can use a mouse if you want. And then to try the programs out, you use an emulator and maybe deploy it on the actual phone. So that is state of the art. And so I guess everyone here in the audience has been writing Windows Phone apps already. Is that true? Is there anyone who has never written a Windows Phone app in the past? Oh, a bunch actually. OK. So then maybe I can ask everyone who did write a Windows Phone app, did you submit it to the marketplace? Who submitted it to the marketplace? Oh, a few people. Who got it accepted the first time? Ooh, one person. One person out of the entire audience. So that actually maps our experience and statistics. It is pretty tricky to get apps out there, not just because of the software you need, the skill set you need to have, but also because of the process you have to go through. So if you go back in time, then when I grew up, and I'm sure many other here had similar experiences, that is what my computer looked like when I turned it on for the first time. It wasn't a smartphone, but pretty cool. And it wanted me to write code. That's really, it's not the greatest end-user experience, I admit, but it shaped an entire generation. you turn it on, you get exposed to the idea of writing code. And how's that now? You get such a powerful device, and what the built-in experience provides is that you just get finished apps from the marketplace, and you are a consumer. By default, you are a consumer, whereas it used to be much more prominent to actually create content, create apps. Can we change that? That is a research question that our group here in Building 99 took on. And we came up with a radically new development environment that we call TouchDevelop. It is actually a Windows Phone app. It's available for free in the marketplace right now. And it's a full development environment that also packs social collaboration features. It allows you to write code, run code, and share your programs with other people. And after all the talking, I will now hand over to Peli, who will give you a demo. And keep one thing in mind, everything we're going to show you is on a phone only. There is no PC required. The whole idea behind our project was that you might not even have a PC. And yet, you should be able to write software. So, Peli.
All right, so my name is Peli Dale, and I'm also a developer in the TouchDevelop team. And today, we're going to write an app together. So before we write the app together, we should get the phone here. So if I had a live stream, I could actually write the app and keep walking around. I do sometimes, and sometimes I find myself coding while biking, but I won't do that today. So TouchDevelop allows you to write apps everywhere, and they allow you to write apps for your phone. So it's a pretty cool environment to be creative while you have something to do. So I'm just going to remove the autofocus here. So it's an app, and we're in Windows Phone. So I'm just going to launch TouchDevelop, and you land on the hub where you can browse the new scripts that have been published by other users, and then you can look at whether you've got more points or so forth. But we're going to show that later. We're going to start by creating a new script and writing some code. So I'm going to tap on the little plus button here, and then I can pick a cool name. So I'm going to call it XapFest 2012, and create, right? So we have a script is an app. It bundles code. It might bundle events and a bunch of assets, and we're going to go into the code editor, which we call actions. So there's an action called main here. And I can just tap on it to open the editor. So here we are in what looks like a traditional editor. So we have a typed imperative language. It's a pretty simple scripting language. If you have done C, Java, or language like that, it's pretty intuitive. We use the arrow because you don't see dots on small screens. So I can run this code. So I can hit the play button down there, and I can just run the code, right? And well, at the time of Nikolai, this would have been exciting to be able to display strings, but these days, not so much. So we can make it a bit more interesting. So I can select this, and for example, I can refactor that into a for loop. So we have control flow. So we have things like, let's go back and do that again. So I'm just going to cut this, in fact. So I'm going to add a new for loop. You see that we have if statements, we have for each, we have for, all the good stuff that you know. So I'm going to do a for loop. And here you see that there's not a lot of typing to do. All the boilerplate code is there for you. You can't touch it. And you just have to provide the upper bound. So in this case, I'm going to use this little number editor. And we are here in the expression editor, which is a specialized keyboard to enter expressions, right? So if I press back, I'm back into my little function here, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to tap on do nothing here, and I'm going to add one more statement. So there's going to be a command, and I need to add a string, and strings live here. And as you can see, I'm using a big finger on a small screen. In fact, I'm doing typos here. Cool. and we're going to post the string to the wall. So TouchDevelop tries to be simple for end users, and we try to use paradigm that they understand. We are in the Facebook wall, the Facebook era, so we actually don't console write line or printf. We post things to the wall, right? And that is pretty cool. So we just did a little loop, and we're displaying text. So we have a rich language. We can really do whatever we want, and we can also leverage all the cool stuff that's on the phone, the sensors, the media, and also maybe your calendar and so forth. So instead of doing something that is cool a long time ago, I'm just going to cut that. What I'm going to do is maybe pick a random picture from the phone. So the phone has all my pictures, and I'm just going to go and look for media. So there's a media, and in media I have easy access to the picture albums, but the pictures, maybe I can also get the songs. I'm just going to grab the pictures, and in this case there's a handy method called random. So this action returns a picture object, and there is a refactoring button here that says store in variable. So I can just do that, and now I've declared a local variable, and I can come back to my code. So we've picked a picture, and we're going to just display that to the wall. Again, adding a new statement, a command, and now you can see that pick is right at the front of the IntelliSense. So we've done quite a bit of work trying to make the best guess and reorganize those buttons. So as you type, we change the order in order to predict what you're going to try to use in that case. So we've done that demo quite a bit, so it knows that we want to post it to the wall. All right, so we're running this, and it picked a picture. Right, and I can run it again and again and again. Right, so that's a good start. We already did something that wasn't trivial, but we're going to make it more interesting. So there's been recently, well, it seems that people want to see a picture, but with some sepia filter. They want to see the old school. Yes?
Will this entire presentation be like recorded?
So this entire the question is whether it's recorded. Yeah, it is recorded, and it will be
Available about like Monday or so.
available next
I'm
week.
going to send the link out on the same aliases.
Question.
So what are those arrows after media, pictures,
So
The question is, what are those arrows?
the question is, what are the arrows? They are dots in C#.
Yeah, dots.
How do you call those?
So it's like the dot in C#. We in fact went through different iterations, and the dot is too small on the screen to see well, so the arrow is more expressive to select a property of an object.
Yeah. All right, so what we want to do is tint the picture. So I'm going to tap on the first statement, and I'm going to sneak in another line here. So I'm going to add another command. And I know that there's probably a tint method defined on pick, but I'm not sure exactly where it is, so I'm going to search for it. And here I'm going to do tint. And there is actually a method called tint, and it will tint the picture. All right, so if we go back now and run it, we got a familiar effect where you can't see anything on the screen. Almost. So in fact, sepia is rather boring, so let's go ahead and change that. And instead, we're going to pick a color ourselves. So we're going to use a specialized editor that allows us to pick colors, because many times we want to customize our colors. Pick a bright one. Let's pick green, favorite color here. And there we go. So we got our green color. We can run again, and now we got now the app that runs, and that is actually a picture. That runs over this. Okay, so far so good. We've written a little app that's funny. What we want to do now is maybe make it more interactive. So whenever I shake the phone, I want to do that again and again and again and see more pictures. And to make it more artistic, I'm actually going going to go back here instead using a random color, which is going to be more interesting. Random. There we go. All right. So back to the script editor, we looked at code, but we also have events. So events are first class, and they allow you to respond to what the environment is doing to the phone. So we can tap on plus to see what we have. So you can see that we have events like shake or phone face up and down, which are related to the accelerometer. So we process the accelerometer, and we turn that into an event for you. And you have more events down. So you have events related to the music you're playing, whether you're starting to play a music or what's the active song on the phone. You also have events for the camera, because there's a hardware, there's a camera, and you can be notified when the user tries to press the camera. So there's a whole lot of interesting events that you can register to. So we're going to do shake today. I'm going to tap here, and we're back into the statement editor. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call the main action that we just wrote. So the way you do that is you access, you look for a singleton called code, and code, there we go. And I'm going to do it again, and notice how the button here has a triangle, and it's called code, but when we put it in the expression editor, we don't put the code. And the reason is space. The reason is that after a while you recognize the symbol and it saves a lot of space. We're dealing with very small screens here, right? So I can run this. We got a picture, and every time I shake it, we get another picture.
There was a question in the audience.
So I see this top left corner green arrow or the red arrow. What do they signify there in the?
So the question is, there are green and red arrows at the top corner of the buttons if you go into the expression editor. What do the colorful buttons mean?
Do they say like main is now having green?
You mean some are green and some are red? There is some internal coloring scheme. These are the green ones here are singletons, and art is a special one. And then based on the return type, you'll have different colors. And I deleted the code I was supposed to undo. Undo. Perfect. Right. Undo works. We're good to go. All right, then I can shake, right? So the last thing I want to do is maybe I see a variation of my pictures that I want to save. So I want to save that to the phone. So we can add one more event. So let's go back to the script editor. And you can see here how interactive building an app is when you're already on the phone. You can really play around, tune it, trial kind of things, and delete. It's really playful. So I'm going to add another event, and it's possible to register tap events on certain kinds. So I can actually be notified when a picture is tapped on the wall. So the tap wall picture will trigger whenever the user taps on a picture. And in that case, it's very easy to save it to the phone. So I'm going to do item and save to library. And that will save the picture into a special album in the Windows Phone, right? So we launch the app, and we generate a couple pictures. In fact, I like this one with the bike one. So I'm just going to tap on it, and I don't know whether it did it. All right, so let's change the app, and let's have the phone vibrate, or maybe play some music, even more exciting. Let's pick a random song and play. So media, songs, random, play. That's pretty straightforward. So let's do it again. Come on. Whoops.
You probably pressed a button.
I probably pressed a button. And we're back, and let's see. So I have to find my script, which is probably called Zapfest 2012. And let's try it again. All right, so I like this one. Okay, it did it. It saved the picture. So we're good. We can actually go into the... Okay, I'm going to stop the music. All right. All right. I'm going to go into the pictures, and if you go into the Save Pictures library, you can see that it's already there. Actually, you had saved the previous one, so you can... these are all the things that you can do with TouchDevelop pretty easily. You can play around, build your app, and then when you're happy with your app...
Yeah, I would like to run your app.
So when you're happy with your app, you want to share it. You know, we all want to show off what we have, and we have to have users. So in TouchDevelop, in order to submit an app, you just have to press a button. It's here at the bottom. And it will publish your script to our bazaar, right? There's a little disclaimer, don't store passwords in there because it's all public. So you hit publish, and you have to be connected to internet, of course. Let's try that again.
You're in flight mode.
I am in flight mode, but I should be also on the Wi-Fi, which is turned up. Yeah. All right. So we won't publish today. But if we had published, then the script would show up in the new section.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah, maybe we finish the demo later when I figure out why I lost the Wi-Fi.
I can show the publishing experience. So I have a different phone here, which happens to have an internet connection. So I won't be able to recreate this elaborate script that Peli just wrote, but let's create another one. Maybe tint, camera, picture. So I want to take a picture with the camera, tint it, and post it to the wall. And that should be pretty easy to do. I misspelled the name, but that doesn't really matter. So I go in and add a statement to take a picture. So the camera is one of the many sensors in the phone. So I can just go to sensors, take a picture, store it in a variable, and then operating on that variable, I can tint it, similar to what Peli already showed. I'm really walking fast through the program and tint it in a random way, and then I will show it on the screen. So this program actually does something interesting. Okay, so that's my entire program. If I run this program, it will ask to take a picture. Yeah, so we just took a picture. And let's accept that. And here it is. So cool app. And to share it with the world, indeed, I just press the upload button for the script. And let's correct that spelling mistake. Upload. Publish. So it's now sent to our cloud. And all scripts are actually automatically analyzed in the cloud. We are looking for certain privacy concerns. What information does it potentially leak? We sort of everything. And now if anyone looks for all of the scripts that we have in the script bazaar, then you see now what's currently happening. So 16 seconds ago, I posted this script, and other people are publishing other scripts. Okay. So we just had fun writing scripts.
Hold on, let's finish the experience.
You're back on the internet?
I'm taking another phone. And I'm looking, so that's another phone. I'm looking at new scripts.
And if you have a Windows phone right now, you can do the same thing. Open TouchDevelop, go to New, and you will find it.
So this is very similar to a marketplace experience where this is very similar to marketplace experience where you can look at the app and see what it's doing. So you can, kind of get an idea of what's happening. There's no screenshots. There's a forum. So there's no screenshot, and maybe I can fix that.
Can you like it too?
I can also like it, but I haven't run it yet. So I can actually go and look at the source code directly from the preview page and kind of get a feeling what's happening here. So I'm going to download it. This will download the full code of the app and open the editor, and I can run the app. So it turns out that it's taking a picture. Nikolai, I'm returning you the favor. There we go. All right. And we got Nikolai in green. That's pretty cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot. So this allows to take a screenshot of the app and upload it to the cloud. So it's very easy to actually make it, your app more appealing to have people download it. It's very important. And since I like it, I'm also gonna go back to the review page, and then I'm gonna add a little like to that. So I'm gonna say that, yeah. Oh, we got already 2 likes, 3 likes. This app is on fire.
Oh, that's very good. We will come back to the script later.
I'm gonna drop a message to Nikolai saying this is cool. Right.
Oh.
And Nikolai, yeah, sure.
I just got a notification that somebody liked my script. Yeah. So it's a fully integrated experience. When he writes a comment, I should get another notification.
This is cool. All right.
Yeah, it comes with a bit of delay.
And now, in fact, when we come back to the new page, you can see that there's actually a little preview of the screenshot in the list of apps to make it more attractive.
So in just a few seconds, we wrote a script and we published it. We decorated it with all kinds of metadata. How cool is that? I mean, it was never easier to get programs out there, even on PCs. So we showed you how we can write some script in a few seconds. Let's look at what other people have been doing. So since half a year, it is possible for people to share scripts. And since then, we have seen many downloads of our apps. We were really overwhelmed by the response. So we almost had 200 app downloads for Windows Phone. And there have been 6,000 scripts and different script variations published by all of the users. And you can see that it's really very diverse. There are many games, but also utilities, and you can use Bing Maps, and you can draw charts. It's a general purpose programming environment. So let me show you some of the cool scripts in action that people have been writing. So I already installed them on my phone. And let's start with a pretty simple one, Break It. You probably recognize this game immediately. So I can use the accelerometer to tell the phone that I'm tilting it. So the game works by tilting the phone. And then when I tap on the screen, the ball gets going, and we take away some bricks. Once in a while, I can also produce a ripple effect, but that depends on configuration. So somebody wrote this entire script on the phone with no PC. I think that's pretty amazing. And how difficult is that? That probably must have been a lot of work, right? Let's look at the code behind this. So I can go into the code editor. And first of all, you see that there are just 3 functions here. This entire game consists of 3 functions: main, drawbricks, endgame. So when we look at main, there's some setup work in the beginning. It's basically 2 pages of code. And then the second page is a main game loop. So while running, it does something. It basically moves around the pedal depending on the current accelerometer reading. And then it counts your lives, and you have 3 lives. And when all of your lives are gone, then the game ends, obviously. So we can look at this other function that is invoked here. What does that function do? So when you are out of lives, then it takes your high score and it posts it to a leaderboard. So we have many built-in cloud APIs in TouchDevelop, and one of them is a centralized leaderboard. If you write a game, you don't have to worry about where to maintain a high score list. we do that for you. So there's one more function, and that is called drawbricks. This one is interesting because it's very easy here to see how the grid of bricks is created. So there are two nested for loops, and in the loops, rectangles are created with different colors. So those are the bricks. That is the entire game. And you have seen how to write code, right? So in half an hour, after a bit of practice, you can write such a game and sell it for 99 cents, as we will see later. And if you keep producing apps every half an hour, that actually amounts to something. Let's look at another one. So here is another famous game. One of our users wrote it. Every day we are just surprised by what our users can do on the phone. So I can swipe down to accelerate, I can tap on it to rotate, and I can swipe to the sides. And this is not going to look very good. There's a high score, fully integrated experience. Last game. This one is called Cloud Hopper. And again, it uses the accelerometer to move around the little guy here. So I tilt the phone. I have to be careful. It's a bit. I've done so much better. And again, there's a centralized leaderboard. Here it's actually even shown with what people are playing the game. Can you beat that high score? That's really tough.
Man, you're on the high top 10.
Yeah, I've been playing this a lot. I mean, what's really cool is whatever you find on the script design TouchDevelop, all of these scripts are free. So you can just play these games for the fun of it. So another, yes?
Interesting question there. So they're all free. Are they released under some sort of license? Do you agree to some license when you upload it?
So the question is, when a script is uploaded, is there some kind of license that says that everything is free? Indeed. So there's a terms of use that basically says when you upload a script, you give it to the public domain. Read the terms of use. So we recently added a feature that allows to create rich data types using a graphical editor, and a really cool script that uses that feature is called myBirdLog. So when I run this script, the first thing it does is it does a web request to download a list of all birds in the world, and it puts them into a dictionary. Okay, now the app is running. I can browse all of the birds that are known to the app. And let's say outside you just saw an eagle. Then we can tap on the E and select eagle. What kind of eagle? Well, I've seen bald eagles here, but I'm not really sure if it is a bald eagle. So the next thing the app does, I can ask for Bing pictures that match this description of bald eagles. So it's easy to connect to Bing, Bing search, and Bing maps. Yeah, that's exactly what I saw. So now I can log a bird sighting. There's a plus button at the bottom. You can create simple UIs in TouchDevelop. And when I press the plus button, the phone will use GPS to take my current location. It's just one function call in the code, get current location, and it will store it in a table. And now, whenever I want to know again where I saw that bird, I can pop up a map where it shows me where we are right now. So that is a pretty rich application that has a little database in its back end. And you can create this entire application on the phone while riding in the bus to work. So to just show you how this database looks like. So far we have only looked at code, but there's also there are also events. We added shake events in the code. There's more. So there's data. Data is like your regular global static variables in other programming languages. One difference is they are persistent. You don't have to deal with tombstoning and serializing all the state. We do all of that. And it's very easy in that way to maintain global state. Now on top of that, there's a concept of structured data types here under the title of records, where you can configure tables and indices, which are basically collections of records. You can also add artwork, and there's the library concept to create modular applications. Yeah, that's another pretty cool script. Any questions about scripts that can be created with TouchDevelop so far? Yeah?
So far we saw how to write backend code logic for our apps. What kind of support does this app provide for creating UIs? What kind of UIs can I create?
What kind of UIs can you create? So today it is a bit limited. You have seen the concept of the wall, where you just post stuff. Then there's the concept of pages. So you can basically have a stack of walls that show different things. And on top of that, or at the bottom of it, you can have application bar buttons. That is what the app allows you to do today. We right now have an intern who is actually just walking in. He is working on a better way to create UIs using basically as an extension of our built-in language. So we do not want that you have to learn XML and another language, but we will have a completely integrated experience to create even richer UIs. But we have found that for many quick applications, what we have is fully sufficient. What we also have, and that was used in all of the games, is the concept of a board, which is basically a canvas on which you can paint anything, but it's a bit richer. It has a built-in physics engine. You can place objects with physical properties like speed, friction, and that allows you to draw anything you wish. Yeah. Another question?
I have two questions actually. First, do we have to run these programs from inside TouchDevelop, or we can just publish it as a normal?
Do you have to run the program from within TouchDevelop, or can you publish them as regular apps? Excellent question. There is a path to regular apps. I will talk about that in a moment.
The second question is about power consumption of these scripts. Did you measure how power consumption for these scripts? Because it seems to be power consuming. I don't know.
How about power consumption of scripts? That is the question. So what we do is actually we interpret the scripts. So they are running a bit slower than you're used to, which also means they consume a bit more power. On the other hand, we have very high-level APIs that live on a very high abstraction level. So we have a built-in physics engine. So for many tasks, you don't have to write low-level code that does things in tight loops, but you can use our high-level APIs so that power consumption is not an issue. But indeed, in the big picture, it's part of our research agenda, how we can get the power consumption down even further. Okay? Then, back to the slides. Okay. So we looked at many scripts, some of the many scripts that people have written. There's a link on this page. So this is a fun video of an event we did recently. So we went to UW, and we had a similar event to the hackathon that we are planning to do inside of Microsoft. And here's an experience report.
So UW stands for the University of Washington here in Seattle.
So we gave everyone Windows phones for a weekend.
Thirsty, so ideally, you know, if it's thirsty, I think it's shake. And then it changes, and now it's normal, and now it's hungry. So now you gotta swipe. And then you see clouds. These were actually very well animated. It was pretty impressive how this turned out.
So I developed a facial recognition app using TouchDevelop, and the purpose was to train it on a set of people that I already recognized. and I gave it 2 or 3 images for each person. And then whenever I took an image that I didn't know about of them later onwards, or I took a Facebook image of them, it would recognize the person in the image.
And wrote the client in TouchDevelop.
I really enjoyed working in TouchDevelop. I never knew you could do so much on a touch device without actually using an IDE on a laptop or a computer. I was really impressed with the language, and the API was really well thought through. I really enjoyed working on this app.
My friend Ian Finder thought up this cool idea because he was just calling payphones, because you can go look at the number on the payphone and call him, and he wanted to call his friend when he walks by. So we did this, and he's like, we need to make this into an app. I run around and I take a picture with the Microsoft phone they gave me, and of each of the payphones on campus and around campus. Then we built an app that takes the user's location, tells them what the closest to them payphone is, so you can walk to a payphone or near it, in a bush, I guess, and then call it, right? So it's like a payphone pranker. Hello? Hey, how's it going? What's your name? Yeah, you just got punked.
All it's going to do is record acceleration and gyroscope readings on the hand movement. But it's kind of like a whole choreography thing if you get into it. Hey, I just met you. This is great. So come yeah. So we will figure out.
So we had tons of fun on that weekend, and so did the students. And I think again, was pretty amazing what they came up with. Very diverse games, utilities, prank apps, you name it. So what's really different about TouchDevelop is really the language and the editor. So we designed a new language that actually fits a touchscreen editor. So it needed to be strongly typed so that we can do really good IntelliSense predictions. But otherwise, it's a traditional imperative procedural language, that the kind of language that basically took over the world. All of the software is written in such languages. What's really, really cool is that pretty much every API that exists on the phone is available in TouchDevelop. So that includes, of course, all of the sensors we already talked about, but also all of the data sources that sit on the phone. Peli was interacting with pictures and the songs, but you can also access the calendar, contacts, everything. So one app that used to be our top app, I think now it's number 2, is called My Online Meetings. It was actually written by a manager in Microsoft. He's not a full-time programmer, but he's a manager, but he could write it. So what it does, it looks at the current time, then it goes to your calendar, picks out the current meeting you're supposed to be in, and if it's an online meeting, then with regular expressions, it gets out the phone number you're supposed to call and the access code, and it combines it into a huge phone number with pauses in between and dials it. And then you can pin that to the start screen of your phone and run it with a single button click. So that really shows nicely how you can combine all of the different data sources in a phone, scripted together in a way that no other built-in app does. And you can do it in a few lines of code. Very useful. So I also mentioned the physics engine that makes it easy to write games. There's full support to pin apps to tiles and to actually change what is shown on tiles. We also showed that you can do web queries. There's full support for JSON objects and XML, so you can interact with rich web APIs. It's very easy to share scripts. We showed you how that works. And by making it really, really easy to share scripts, we also potentially made it easy to share malware. Somebody could write a malicious script that takes your current location and sends it to his own web service. What about that? We don't really want that. So what we do is, whenever you upload your script, you can only share it with other people by going through our central script bazaar. And in that script bazaar, we automatically run an information flow analysis on the script to determine what data sources go to what data sinks. And then there are two cases. Either we classify such a flow as safe, when basically you get a chance to review the data before it goes out, then everything behaves as normal. So if your script takes a picture from Facebook, or if the script takes a picture with a camera and then shares it on Facebook, you get a dialog that asks, do you really want to share that? You click yes. Then you're in an excellent position to decide whether it's okay to share or not. But if the picture gets tainted, if some bits encode your current position now, or if this dialog is missing, then by default we would run, if you download that script, we would run it with anonymized information, and you have to go to some settings menu to override it to run it with your real information. So by default, you're always safe. You can also manually inspect scripts because they always come with source code. And everything we do is fully automatic. There's no manual review process. Your script will not be stuck in a waiting room for a while. So we already showed you some of the social features. People can give hearts to script, write comments, there are screenshots, and there's a notification system that notifies you whenever something happens that is related to your scripts. So it's really interactive. So we were pretty early with TouchDevelop over a year ago, and then something interesting happened. On other platforms, other IDEs popped up. And so there's a IDE for Android and Codea for iOS, and they are really cool IDEs. You should check them out if you have such devices. But there's something fundamentally different between TouchDevelop and those IDEs. For those IDEs, you basically need a keyboard. Attach it with Bluetooth or however you can do it, because they require you to enter either Java code with curly braces and everything, or Lua code. So it's basically just using your mobile device as a PC without changing the UI. And so with TouchDevelop, we really try to go a step forward and see how should the programming experience be if this is the first computer you ever hold in your hand. We are really used to keyboards, and initially you might miss your keyboard a lot because you're so used to it. But after a while, our IntelliButtons buttons really become very intuitive, and we think that is pretty close to how a great experience for entering code on a touch device should be. If you want to learn more, we have created a book with the help of Microsoft Research Connections that is available to download as a 8 megabyte PDF file from our webpage. There's also a set of slides, basically one slide per API area, to learn how to use the APIs that come with TouchDevelop. So one question was how to run these scripts. Do I need TouchDevelop to run a script? And at first the answer is yes. If you publish a script and you want to share it with other people, that other person needs to have a Windows Phone and the TouchDevelop app. And then sharing is very, very quick, right? Just a matter of seconds, publishing script, and then it's out. But there's also a path to sell apps and get rich. So when you publish an app, it gets a unique ID. And let's actually look at that. So if I go to our web page, the TouchDevelop web page, then you can browse through everything that is happening right now. There's also the book and many other materials, but we can see what is happening right now. It's a similar view as we had on the phone. You can look at new scripts. We also keep track of top scripts that get run a lot. And there are featured scripts that contain novel features that haven't been used like that before. But here new, we see the script that we just published. Right, so I published this one, that is me. And when I click on the script, and if you log in on the web page with the same credentials as you did on the phone, then new things are possible because you are the author of the script. So we have a little system where we want to make sure that before you turn the script into an app, it's actually of high quality. So we require that 3 people like it or give it a heart. Fortunately, that already happened for my script. And unless some people take away the heart now. And then I get this new button, get started with your own app. And then see if I can still do it. And then a new page will pop up that will guide me through the process of entering some more metadata. And at the end of the process, I can download a XAP file. So these are basically all metadata items that are required to submit an app to the marketplace. So there's some descriptions regarding the text. It asks, who am I? There's some legal disclaimers if you want to add a privacy statement. And you have to upload certain images. So basically, if you want to publish an app in the marketplace, you have to follow the rules of the marketplace. You also have to register as a developer. And then you can publish your XAP file. Oops. Now went into the middle. Where were we? Yeah. So at the end of the download process, you get a XAP file and you submit it to the regular App Hub. And then you're free to actually charge money for it. We also have an option to integrate ads into your app, so that's another potential revenue stream. So what we do to generate the XAP file is we basically bundle the script code you wrote with our interpreter engine. So it will behave exactly the same as it behaved in the TouchDevelop app. Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay, so that is basically everything that is possible today in TouchDevelop. And I want to talk about one really cool feature that is coming up soon, and that is distributed state in the cloud. So if you think of all the latest mobile applications, they typically store all of your information in the cloud, right? And it doesn't matter on what device you access your data, it's always the same. And in the background, everything gets synchronized and magic. But if you want to implement such an app yourself, it's actually pretty challenging. You need to set up a server that hosts the data. You need to pay someone for that. You need to worry about user identities and authentication. And then when you have conflicting data coming from different devices, you have to think about how to merge these conflicting updates. So there's a lot of work that has to go into creating a rich, distributed state application. We want to change that. So in one of the next updates of TouchDevelop, what we will allow you to do is to basically check a checkbox called cloud next to a global variable. And when you do that, we know who you are because you have to log in TouchDevelop with a Windows Live ID or Facebook account. And then we will host data for you in the cloud. And a lot of research has been done in our group to figure out a scheme how we can automatically deal with structured data that gets sent to different clients. So the ideas were borrowed from code repository systems where you can check out data, work on it, and then later when connectivity is restored, you check it in. And we basically lifted these ideas of versioning systems to structured data types. So the different devices can do that, and when they come together again, the updates get merged. How do they get merged? Well, for every data type, we have built-in merging functions. You don't have to define them, and they usually do the right thing. So for integers, cloud integers have special operations. You cannot just read and write them, but we provide a new operation called add, and then you can accumulate changes, and merging is basically error-free. And this also extends to structure types like records. If different clients add a record to a table, that's no problem, no conflict. They just get added as you would expect it. So that's really exciting. That's coming up in one of the future updates. Okay. So to summarize, we were really surprised by how popular TouchDevelop became over the course of the last year. We had many, many downloads, and also another interesting data point is that most of our users actually rate it very highly. So that tells us that the editing experience actually works. So if you haven't tried it yourself yet and you're still suspicious, try it. You will be surprised how easy it actually is. TouchDevelop is the only mobile editing environment for code that really takes the new form factor seriously. We have a touchscreen, and great apps on mobile devices have to rethink the UI, otherwise they are not great. TouchDevelop makes available all of the sensors, so conceptually there is no application you couldn't write in TouchDevelop that you can write in C# or in Visual Studio. We believe that TouchDevelop is great for also teaching and learning. So we find that many of our users, they just find TouchDevelop on the Windows Phone Marketplace because they're trying out apps. So many people, for the first time in their life, actually get exposed to programming. We have a built-in tutorial that guides you step by step through the button clicks to create a little program. So we see that a third of all of the scripts that are written are by such users who probably write programs for the first time in their life. But we also think that it's great for teaching in a classroom. So if you think about the next generation of students, when they come into a classroom, what kind of computer are they most used to? It's mobile devices. Everyone needs a phone. And then if they get an exercise where the teacher says, now go to that PC and implement a sorting algorithm, then it's hard to get taken seriously. So we believe that it's much more fun for students to actually do exercises also on mobile devices. And we have some great experience already in high schools. Peli has been teaching an entire class in a high school. So it's a great way to introduce people to programming. And finally, if there are any interns in the room and you want to take these ideas to your university, we have a phone loan program. So you can write us an email, and then we might make available to you a number of Windows phones for a classroom, so that you can, or your class at the university can try it out. That's everything we have to say. And if there are questions for the general presentation, then you are free to ask now. Yes?
So my question is about errors. So is there a change with these scripts to write a script with compilation error, for example, or runtime error? And this is how this is handled.
Yeah. What about errors? Excellent question. Many things come to my mind. So in general, we follow a philosophy that is similar to most mobile applications. When it crashes, you don't get a dialog, but it basically just goes back to the start screen. So there is no elaborate exception handling, but there's a concept of invalid values that you can test for. So by default, we assume that if something goes horribly wrong, just let the user start over and things will work out better. But you can test for invalid values if you want to. So there are, of course, also potential compilation errors. We have a semi-structured code editor, but it doesn't guarantee that your code is correct. You cannot make certain kinds of errors, but you can still have mismatching parentheses at the expression level. And then you actually get shown type errors in the code. If you try out TouchDevelop and you type something that doesn't make sense, you will see it immediately. We are currently working on debugger support. So today when the app crashes because there was an invalid value, for example, you take a picture and then in the program you assume that there's a picture. But maybe the user actually canceled picture taking. Then the program cannot continue, right? So today when that happens, you get very little feedback in the phone what actually went wrong. But we are working right now with one of our interns on a debugger on a phone. Any other error-related answers? OK. Yeah?
Is TouchDevelop done with the third-party APIs and Silverlight, or is there any special access you have?
Is TouchDevelop done with only the public Silverlight APIs, or did we get some special access? We didn't get any special treatment. Everything in TouchDevelop you could write in C# with Visual Studio using public knowledge. Yeah.
So some of these applications I see have like media with them. Can those be created in TouchDevelop, or have people made applications in TouchDevelop to make these things, like pictures?
What about media? Heli wants to answer.
Yeah, so there's two things to this answer. We don't bundle any kind of media, so we don't bundle any picture or video, but you can easily create links to videos that are hosted somewhere on the web. Now, there is an anecdote to that. A user actually wrote a sprite editor in TouchDevelop, and then he would encode the sprite as a big string. And then he wrote, of course, the encoder and the decoder for that, all in TouchDevelop. And then he could actually now, he could write and create his little sprites, and he started creating games that had sprites in them. And then you had this massive piece of text in the code where you had all these images encoded. So he had a lot of fun, I guess, doing that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
But didn't I see in the library that there was, you had one of the things you could put in there as media as part of the the program?
So the media you see in the API. So the question is whether there was a media in the screen.
Yeah. But I think it means art.
No. In the so you had the code, and then you had events, and then down the bottom there was a
art.
Okay, so art. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Exactly. So that is basically a mechanism where you can supply links to sounds and pictures, and you get a nice preview what they actually stand for, and then you can use them in code as just like built-in songs and pictures, but they will actually be fetched at runtime through those links. So if you distribute this program, any other end user also will download the pictures from the ultimate source. Yeah.
Is the runtime checking that they're still there?
Yes, otherwise it's going to be an invalid value, and either you check for it or the program will terminate. Yeah?
When you showed the list of the events that you support, I only saw the high-level ones, like shake the phone or something like that. Do you have some of the low-level ones, like get the coordinates of all the touches on the screen at the moment, something like that, or like touch move?
So the question is whether we have a more targeted event like tap, swipe, drag on particular elements. So we have that for the 2D game board, so the game engine. You will, as soon as you declare it, you can actually see new events that allows you to register to tap, swipe, drag on the board, but also on every individual sprite or sprite set. But we don't give you tap or drag on wall elements, for example.
And one other question. Like, I really like the idea, and the app is amazing, but is it possible to do the step back and use it on the PC? So, like, probably in emulator or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Say, if you don't have Windows Phone on you at the moment.
Yeah. So you cannot use it on your PC. And we do not want that people use it in an emulator because it really takes away the whole point. You get immediate feedback when you use the accelerometer. And all of our buttons on a PC, they would be huge. And you have this mouse with a super fine selection ability. It doesn't make sense. So you really want a different experience on a PC than on a phone. And we didn't want to weaken our philosophy. It's a great exercise for us to constrain ourselves to this form factor. If you only have that much space, you really have to seriously rethink what you're doing. Yeah.
Maybe some additional question to another. But if application is reach some limitation of the platform, it will be really cool if you can get some C# or XAML code from TouchDeveloper and add something which is not implemented currently in TouchDevelop.
Mm-hmm. So the question is, what if we reach a limitation and we want to continue outside of TouchDevelop? How can we get the code? So what is available today is you can actually look at the code on the website in the TouchDevelop language. Actually, not exactly how it shows up on the phone, but here this is our internal representation with curly braces. And there's currently a master student working on a compiler to C#, and then you could use that. But we don't provide any built-in functionality to turn it into a C# app. It's actually pretty tricky, because there are two ways you could do it. There's a naive way, but in this naive way, I talked about tombstoning, and we serialize all of the data and take care of tombstoning. But that wouldn't quite work if you translate in a naive way to C#. And if you do it in a way that is bulletproof, then the C# code would look horrible with tons of continuation everywhere. So it's a tricky subject.
So for example, if you look at the sample here, we take a picture. We take a camera picture. In reality, the application is terminated.
Right.
We go into the photo application, it takes a photo, it comes back and it drops the photo some well-known place, and then the developer in C# has to pick it up and then continue with that. Right? So we made it a single call, but in reality, it's much more tricky than that when you're implementing it in C#. So the code gen would be a bit more ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it possible to have these scripts like running in the background, like to always like have the constant running, or?
Is it possible to run scripts in the background? Today that is not possible because we haven't implemented that part yet. If you want to help us, we are a little research team. Since you're working for Microsoft, you are happy to join us to implement all of those little missing pieces. But there's no inherent reason why you shouldn't be able to run things in the background.
Reiterating on the last two questions, is it possible, like, if the events or, I don't know, the extension points that you provide are not enough, can we call some additional extension points in Visual Studio and integrate them in TouchDevelop? Like, is it extensible at the moment?
Is it extensible? Can you add integration points? So what we do have is a library concept. So if you, let's say, talk to a web service and you want to reuse that piece of code in different scripts, then you can wrap that into a library and reference it again and again from different scripts. What we currently do not allow is that you kind of mix and match C# and TouchDevelop code. That's an interesting idea. We haven't really thought about it yet.
So I'm in the phone. We are a third-party application, and we are bound to all the rules, and we can't just drop a DLL and start using it. It has to be in the manifest and so forth.
That is true. It would have to be then a standalone app and no longer purely phone development. Okay?
Well, you could implement it as a call out to a web service, right? So you could implement your library as a web service somewhere.
Yes.
Make calls out to that.
So the comment is that you can always implement extra functionality as a web service. Indeed. For example, one of the students with the face recognition, he didn't implement it on the phone. He was using an existing server-side implementation.
So, and we do support HTTP requests and JSON parsing and XML parsing. So you can definitely interact with all the rich web APIs out there.
Is it possible to like stream data from the internet? Using that question, like get stream, let's say, for like if you're making a Pandora application or music.
Is it possible to stream data? To some extent, yes. We have built-in support for.
You can definitely. You can open a video stream, and then the native phone player will kick in, and play that.
When you play a song, it plays in the background too.
We don't support that in the API.
Okay. Then thank you very much for staying here. This is the conclusion of the general presentation.